Hello, my friends. Good afternoon. Today, I thought I would go on and I wanted to sort of start to give you a bit of a roadmap. Um, Holy Spirit's been giving me some sort of ideas of how to structure this. So, um, today, I'm going to be talking about three essential ingredients for a successful art business. Okay. Um, and we're all on a journey. Some of us always want to be a hobbyist, but some of us want to, make money, want to be professional. And there's three stages of that, which we probably know. There's the hobbyist, there's the emerging artist, and there's the professional. Um, and the Holy Spirit's given me this structure, sort of, I suppose, three sort of pillars, really, which is empowered, envisioned, and equipped. We're all going along this journey. So, empowered is when we're dealing with, sort of personal roadblocks, healing issues, that sort of thing. All the issues that stop us moving forward. Envisioned is when when we discover our purpose and we really discover our passion and our personality. We start to get a direction for our art and our creativity, which is really, really helpful. And then some of us get to that place where we need equipping. So we really need to deal and grapple with some of the tools and the essentials that we need to become a professional artist or creative. Things like websites, Facebook ads, all the stuff, all the marketing stuff, all the stuff that that makes us a professional. So at Creators Arise, we're trying to develop that program really. So we're speaking into those three areas so that you're starting to move along that roadmap, as it were. I was thinking though, actually, one of the like, I suppose it's like I was thinking of a name yet, but it's like a toolkit really that every artist needs to be using. And again, like the empowered, envisioned, equipped EEE is quite helpful. I came up with, but I believe the Holy Spirit gave me this as well. Produce, present, and promote (PPP). That's the three things. That's the three essential ingredients as an artist, a creative, we need to succeed to become a professional artist, really, a professional creative, actually make money from what we're doing, or a ministry. Many of us get stuck in that first word, even produce. So that's actually producing art. That's what we need. If we don't do that, obviously there's no business. But we need to be producing consistently and regularly. We need to also be presenting. So we need to be drawing the work together. How are we going to present it? Whether we're going to shows, events, website, Facebook, whatever way we can present our work. That's the second stage. We have to spend some time on that. And then thirdly, we've got the promotion aspect, which is where a lot of us fall down, which is the actual marketing in a consistent manner of our artwork. Being seen, really, because we can produce in unseen, but we've got to really work on all three of those to really be effective. Because if any one of those isn't there, if we're not presenting our creativity, then we're not going to promote it really very well, are we? And certainly if we're not producing anything, we haven't got anything to sell, have we? So we need to be working on those three areas together and consistently. So today, though, I'm going to be focusing, and I'm going to do three of these, and we're going to be doing this on a Monday as well, looking at this in detail. And also, I've got a questionnaire as well that I've been developing. But first, we're going to look at production. We're all hopefully producing artwork or creativity in our respective discipline and area. And if we're going to be successful with that, we need to do it consistently first. So we've got to get a consistent method for that, and really that's what differentiates between a hobbyist and an emerging artist. Really, is that you're beginning to develop discipline. You're beginning to take it seriously, and it isn't just something you do on a whim or when you've got spare time. You developed a disciplined approach. You possibly set aside time to in a week to create, because it does need time for itself, and maybe we set ourselves some goals and deadlines. We begin to think of projects. So, for example, for me, because I'm different from you, but as a as a composer, I'm pretty much composing most of the time. And for me, composing, I actually am producing on a sort of a fairly loose level. I basically sit at the piano and compose. Where most of my time takes place is when I have to do the present. In other words, I have to score it and everything else. So, but if you can give some disciplined time to your creative process, you're probably going to have more success in the long run, because you're giving it space, and you need space. You need to create space to be creative. Really, you need to be in the right frame of mind, and um, you know, it's that sort of mental environment is is really important. You need to create a physical environment as well where you're going to be producing. So, having that regular studio time, but actually having a studio where you're not going to get distracted. You're not going to get, everything's to hand. You've got an environment that's going to be conducive to you creating. That again is going to be the difference between a hobbyist and an emerging artist. You're going to start to work on that seriously. You're going to organize yourself. The work environment is going to be inspiring. So having a disciplined creative approach, I think, is the difference there, so that you can produce art and creativity consistently. So the next thing really is, is really that I suppose the tools that you need as well as a professional. You're not going to just cope with any old tools. As a hobbyist, you probably have to, you have to go cheap. You have to use the tools and art supplies or whatever you need that's available. But as you start to make money from it, you're going to be able to reinvest that into your business, and you're going to, get a more polished technique, or more polished artwork, because you're spending time on it, and hopefully you're going to be thinking about enhancing your artistic skills and techniques that a hobbyist is probably not going to think of that much. But when you're emerging as an artist, you're going to be thinking, yeah, I need to get better at watercolor, or I need that certain techniques. I don't know, because I'm not an artist. I'm a composer, but I'll be thinking of how can I broaden my skill set. So developing those techniques, spending money on courses, and even being here in Crows Arise is a step of becoming an emerging artist, because you're getting serious about it. Experimenting with different mediums. Because as a hobbyist, you might not have time to experiment, but as an emerging artist, you want to be experimenting, sort of finding new avenues of creativity. And you might do that through courses. You might do that just through, experimenting with different mediums. So if you're always abstract, you might go and do realistic or drawing or something else. That will all help. But one difference between a hobbyist and an emerging is that hobbyists tend to do anything they like. They tend to, I'll do this one week, I'll do that. You do need to have consistency. The consistency is what's going to give you a voice. Engaging with other artists as well. So being challenged by other artists' work, starting to, maybe even reading art history and how other artists have done things in the past. That's all part of what you need as a toolkit, really, to develop yourself. That's the difference, really. A hobbyist isn't developing themselves. They're just doing it for fun and pleasure. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But if you seriously want to move out from that stage, then you've got to invest in yourself. Maybe get a mentor or whatever. And thirdly, the building a cohesive portfolio, because you want to develop a voice as a creative. Well, you want to be identified by your particular style or genre. It doesn't mean you can't do any other genre. You want to have a body of work that is really high quality that people identify as yours. That's why I've over with my sort of genre, piano, classical. I've developed a fairly sort of narrow niche market. It's a particular type of piano music that I like myself. But I'm consistently producing it, and it's a consistent standard, and engages a certain type of person. So you want to be developing that so you've got a bit of a voice. So you want to be collecting together related artworks, developing that. That's what we're going to be talking about in the presentation bit the next time. But you want to have a collection of related works. So you've got a theme coming through. People can see your style, because if they like it, that's going to give them more impetus to buy. And you're going to be, you're going to be building a story as well around your art. This is all in the second one, really. But you want to develop a showcase for your unique style, vision, and values. You want to be maintaining a balance between, your personal expression. So a hobbyist can just do what they like. You're free to do personal. When you're becoming an emerging artist, you're thinking more of not just your own personal expression, but maybe the market as well and how it fits in. So you're balancing those two. You don't want to, maybe you don't want to lose your real heart of things. So you don't want to make it all about the market, but then again, you don't want to make it all about the personal expression and never sell an artwork. So that's a balance you've got to sort of think of, really. Evaluating your own work as well, keeping a record of your past successes, and be aware of those failures, be aware of the things you tried and that haven't worked, and the works that really have been more successful. In other words, people have responded to them, and you get a sense, that really worked, and find out why that particular artwork struck a nerve in people. That's where the showcase is useful, because it can give you some idea of that. So that's all around developing your artistic voice. So that's all I really wanted to share. There is going to be a questionnaire as well I'm going to do. But basically, we're all on this journey, empowered, envisioned, and equipped. And so the thing was produce, present, and promote. And today we've been talking about produce, and we've been talking about getting disciplined, and enhancing your artistic skills and building a cohesive portfolio. Anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Give you some thoughts to think about, and ask yourself those questions. And the questionnaire I'll do will help you answer some of these questions as well, where you are and what maybe you need to change or what you need to improve on. So anyway, thanks for watching.